First and foremost, I must apologize for jumping the queue. I was due to speak last, but I told the organizers, especially the president, that I cannot do so as I have to go in to swear in 2 new ministers. And I don't think they were going to wait till I go and finish this whole meeting. I would especially listen to the speech of your president of the association. I must commend him for the ideas that he expressed. The ACJU now is commemorating its 100th year, the centenary. You must remember the start in 1922 when the world was undergoing a vast transformation after World War I, which included the abolition of the caliphate. And there was in India a big movement to restore the caliphate, but in Sri Lanka, you also formed the ACJU at the same time, as to what was going to be the center of Muslim thought and of theology, which was the debate that has gone on. So today, you are still faced with some of the issues that were there that time. Firstly, we are in a different world where there are about 150 nations that were not there in 1922. We are in a different century with the development of science and technology, the development of political rights. It's in this background we have to look at the future of the Muslims in Sri Lanka. Firstly, not only Islam, but all religions are looking at what is the essence of our religion. What is the pure meaning of our religion? And how do we connect it with the modern world? Now, this is an issue that all of us face. But it does not mean that the religion can go back to the past. The essence of religion must apply to the past, to the present, and to the future. A good example is Buddhism. When Lord Buddha preached Buddhism on the banks of the Ganges, there was no hydraulic civilization. But when it came to Sri Lanka, we were able to build a hydraulic civilization which has one of its foundations, Buddhism. So we did not reject hydraulic civilization because it was not there in the time of Gautama the Buddha, but we were able to adapt it to that civilization. Similarly, all of us must live in the present and look at the future. Past is useful to look at what is the essence of our religion, because no religion is a religion of hate. It can't be a religion of hate. And it must have compassion. And especially for Islam, or those who preach otherwise, a religion which at that time, the last of the great religions, which acknowledge the same God as the Jews and the Christians, cannot be by any means a religion of hate. The recognition of Moses and the recognition of Christ and recognition of the Prophet doesn't mean it was a religion of hate. It was a religion of advancement. What Islam did, what Prophet Muhammad did, was to carry that message further. So we must not make any religion a religion of hate, but look at the essence of how we can live together and how we can each look at the religion of others. Each religion will try and must preach its religion to everyone, to the believers and the non-believers. But preaching to non-believers doesn't mean that they are the enemies of any religion. And religion itself is now going through many disputes. You find not only in Islam, it's a big argument, discussion that's going on in Islam as to what is future. But even in the other religions, you look at the Holy Catholic Church, the teachings of the Holy Father is being challenged by some of the more conservative members of the Catholic Church. Similarly, you find the Church of England today undergoing that debate on whether to recognize how to treat gay marriages. So all religions have issues, whether it's Hinduism, in Buddhism we are discussing what it is. So we are all undergoing that. But we must not depart from our basic principles. And it's not a religion of hate. It's a religion of compassion, of how we are to find what we call the ultimate purpose of religion. Where does it end? So those, we must, in Islam also, as well as in Buddhism, Hinduism and Christianity, stick to those principles in searching for the essence of our religion. We feel religion has been commercialized, yes. Religion has been used for purposes of war, for purposes of hate. Take it out and see what is the essence of it. What is the pure religion? It doesn't mean you have to go to the back and you have to start wars on it. Secondly, religion must adapt itself and guide modernity. For those who say Islam must go back to Saudi Arabia or the time of the birth of the Prophet, then what do you say to the golden age of Islamic civilization, which had Baghdad at its capital? Look at all the contribution it has made to us. Astronomy, medicine. Look at the kingdoms, the Muslim kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula or Spain, which helped to civilize Europe. We talk of that. Look at Suleiman the Magnificent in the Ottoman Empire. Are you going to disown him? And even in our region, Emperor Akbar, and how he tried to get religions together, followed by his grandson who talked of the confluence of two oceans. We talk of it as a confluence of Indian Ocean and the Pacific, and we call it the Indo-Pacific. But that is not what he said. The confluence of two oceans, that the prince said, was really a confluence of Hinduism and Islam at that stage. So even what he said has been now brought into geopolitics in another way to take on the conflict. But that is the essence. Are you going to accept modernity? And go ahead. And religions have to do that. There is no way in which you can change, and you must accept the fact, even in religion, even in Islam, it started in Arabia, but the largest numbers are in South Asia and Southeast Asia. In Indonesia, in Pakistan, in India, in Bangladesh. The large numbers that are there south of the Sahara, and the numbers that are going to Europe, to the West and USA. Even now, I can see the differences, the clash that occurs. If you look at us in Asia, in the Indian subcontinent, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and then what do you get? You get the Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, who are now accepted the Western civilization. And the best example is that you have a Hindu as the Prime Minister of Britain and a Muslim as the Mayor of Lord Mayor of London. And they represent the cultures of the West, not of our cultures, on which Hindus and Muslims are brought up. So these are facts that we have to today engage in and look at what is modernity. What is the modern state? Where are we going? We have to remember in Turkey that Kemal Atatürk's modernization. We have to remember what Gamal Nasser did in Egypt. Now, are those to be rejected? How President Sukarno got together 400 islands and formed Indonesia, keeping in mind the achievements of Borobudur and the Ramayana. So are you going to reject all that? We have to accept this and go ahead. So modernity is important, and in Sri Lanka I would say that you must have centers of modern thinking among the Muslims. The best would be the universities that we have established in the majority Muslim areas of the southeastern area, and I am happy that Madam Ashraf got a plaque for her own achievements. As a woman, she must get it, but I must also acknowledge the role played by the late Minister Ashraf in establishing university. What is that going to be? It should be a modern university. It should be a modern university, all thoughts. Do you want to have a modern university which the government will back? If you try to confine it only to the Muslims, you might suffer the same fate as the Buddhist and Pali university. So keep that in mind. So modernity is in essence what we have to accept, and we have to go ahead. I see even here, the Muslim community is undergoing those changes, discussing those changes. The MMDA is one of the main issues, a dispute that goes on in a very civilized manner. Those who are for it, against it, who argue on monogamous, or whether you could have pluralistic marriages. That I am not going to interfere, that's a matter for the Muslim community. But one I must say, don't go back to the, don't indulge in any activity that is harmful to the Muslims. I saw the other day some Muslim children demonstrating on the MMDA. That is not on. But that is really violating the law about care of children. If the adults want to demonstrate, that's another matter, but not children. That they should be kept out of it. Now that's a really negative assessment of the Muslims. Don't allow that. That's all that I have to say. Now you have done your 100th year. We are facing our 75th year. After most of our time has been spent in fighting each other. I think now is the time for reconciliation and Sahajivani. So we started by talking to the Tamils, the Sri Lankan Tamils, to look at what are the issues, how do we move towards reconciliation. And that first step has been taken, and we are meeting the party leaders again. We've made a lot of progress in the discussions. Then I don't know why Mr. Mano Ganeshan is staring at me, because we will also start discussions on how we integrate the hill country Tamils with the rest of the society. We have to accept they have come on lately. The other ethnic groups, religious groups are integrated into it. They haven't got the benefits of that integration. We have to integrate fully. And the third one is I want to have a discussion also. We must all have a discussion with the Muslim community of the problems you all face. What are the issues you face now? I think one of the good examples, you take 2018, the Digana riots, we have to talk about it. And we have to talk about 2019, the Easter bombs. All those have to be taken. What led to this? What are the issues? The issues that the Muslims in Colombo face are quite different from the issues that are faced by Muslims southeast of Sri Lanka or the Mana Muslims. And how does it relate to what we are talking about, the Tamils, hill country Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils and the Sinhalese. So let us discuss those, come up with your grievances, the social backwardness that you feel. There are so many issues. I think it's the time, once we do this, that will be the third reconciliation act. And that's not all. We'll have a discussion among the Sinhalese also. There are groups that are affected. Some are affected by caste, some are hemmed in, society doesn't accept them. So there are many, many differences there among the problems among the Sinhalese. This is why I want to establish the Social Justice Commission, which will also look at these long-standing issues. So therefore, I would ask the ACJU, which has been very forthright in discussing the issues, to join with other Muslim groups and let us, as the third phase of it, discuss the issues of the Muslim community. So one by one we resolve one group and go to the other. I have not taken up those discussions together because each one discusses their problems and wants us to give priority to them. So we won't resolve any issue. I thought it's different. We'll go one by one. So in the 75th year that we will all look at becoming Sri Lankans and how we live in their country. And then look at the next 25 years. What are we going to do in the next 25 years? One institute we are starting is the Institute of History, which can discuss all these issues. There are no need to shout about the past from public platforms. Then there are other institutes, the Institute of Government and Public Policy. All this is necessary for us to have a new economy to go ahead. And if let us be strong as a nation, let the social justice prevail, let ethnic harmony prevail, and let's have a new economy which will enable us to be a very competitive economy, making us prosperous. So in turn, that the ACJ use 25 billion, I hope by that time will become 100 billion. Thank you for inviting me.